This is part 2 of my tutorial on how to build the most advanced 1v1 arena. In this video, we're going to go over how to build the glass top viewing deck and also go over the most requested mechanic, the Random Loadout Generator. So let's go.
Immature gamer.
In part 1, I covered how to build the automatic starters box and 1v1 reset function. If you missed that video, I will leave a link in the top right of your screen. Just click the icon. I will be referring to some settings, and if you are trying to replicate my most advanced 1v1 arena, you will want to watch part 1 first. I want to address something about the 1v1 reset function that I covered in part 1. Make sure you have your 1v1 reset button located in the center of your 1v1 starters box. The bots are aiming at you when they fire. It also works better if there is more than one person on your map. Remember, it is not guaranteed to work 100% of the time, but it is the best option for now. Alright, we're going to start off building the glass top viewing deck and then jump into the random loadout generator. Pun intended, guys. Alright, that was way too cheesy, I'm sorry. Alright, how the glass top viewing deck works is you make an elevator using the speed boost traps and an opening at the top where players will enter. The floor is just a barrier trap with the visibility set to off. It's a very simple build. There is a little trickery involved though. I used a barrier with the visibility set to black for my map's outer walls. Not only does it help increase frame rates because the game has to render less colors, but it makes it easier to hide your walls. I used the walls and floors from the black structure gallery. It blends right into the background of your barrier. Grab a wall, start from the floor, and build your elevator as high as you can until the game breaks your builds. Go to the inventory. Under the device tab, grab a barrier. Place it at the top and copy these settings. Barrier visibility in game and base visibility in game to off. Enabled. On. Block weapons in game. On. Now make your width according to your terrain. Keep depth at 1 and adjust height according to your terrain as well. Pro tip, turn the barrier visibility to transparent or any color for that matter, and it will make it much easier to see when you are resizing. Just don't forget to change it back. Finish building your entrance box with walls and use a ramp so it will push you onto the glass deck. Now, place a barrier right at the entrance and copy those same settings. You should now have a roof and a floor placed. Don't forget to make an exit so people can get down. Also, if you want to have fall damage on your map, add an air vent and resize it and reshape it so when you exit, it'll give you fall damage immunity. Add your speed boost pads from the floor to the top. Also put them around the entrance just for good measure. Finish it up by placing walls between the floors and the roofs so players can't escape. If you want, you can put a pinball bumper at the bottom of the elevator and set the knockback to mega high. This will speed up your elevator a little bit. That completes your glass top roof. To test out your glass roof, you will have to go to main menu, my island, and start the game. Barriers don't work until the game is started. Alright, are you ready to learn how to build the automatic loadout randomizer? This is probably my most advanced system I have ever built and also try to explain. How it works is you walk onto a checkpoint spawn pad which has a setting to reset your inventory. You also walk over a trigger device which sends a signal for a barrier device to enable, and at the same time it sends a trigger to your item spawner pads to spawn in an item. That barrier pushed everything on all the item spawners to the loadout generator bay. That same trigger you walked over also sends a trigger to a music sequencer to play, triggering another trigger device, which in turn disables the barrier, item spawners, and the checkpoint spawn, which is crucial because if you don't disable the checkpoint spawn, it will just clear your loadout when you land back on it. You will now have your full loadout, and when you leave the loadout generator bay, you will walk over another triggering device, turning back on the player's checkpoint. Alright, you guys got all that? It is okay if you don't. I will walk you through it step by step. Quick disclaimer, if you follow all of my steps exactly, it will work. There are a lot of settings to cover, and if you have one step wrong, it could ruin the whole thing. I will try and answer all of your questions if you have any issues. Could you please do me a favor though? And before you comment about your issue, please triple check that you have the exact same settings from the video. And if it still doesn't work, write a detailed description on your issue so I can make an educated guess as to what is wrong. If you write it doesn't work, how am I supposed to help you? Alright, now, first thing you're gonna do is plan ahead. You will need at least 6 blocks below your loadout bay and 11 blocks behind you. This is crucial for making the loadout randomizer work. If you are planning on adding more item spawners to your loadout randomizer, you will need to have even more space. How it works is the barrier that you use to push the items to the surface takes the path of least resistance. The originator of this mechanic is Pimit. He has a really good tutorial as well on how it works. I will put a link to his channel in the description. You guys should definitely go check it out. The difference between mine is that I added a loadout reset function and also incorporated the mechanic that clears your inventory before getting a new loadout. Let's start building. Make your loadout bay out of any asset. It doesn't matter. After you have that built, take a wall and go 6 blocks below your floor. If you have to get under the map, make sure you have phase enabled. It's the N key on keyboard and it's a hard press on the left joystick on console. Once you have your walls down, make a platform for all of your item spawners. FYI, the loadout bay can be for any items, like how I made an ammo bay on my map. You could also make a material bay or a gold gun spawn bay or a health bay. Just use your imagination, guys. Now grab a floor and count out 11 blocks from the lowest wall and go backwards. Side note, make sure you are at least 1 block below your last item spawner. Place a wall and go to your inventory. Under the device tab, select a barrier trap and place it. This is the barrier that will push all of your items to the surface. Press customize and copy these settings. Keep barrier visibility in game and base visible in game to off. Turn enable to disable. Block weapons in game, leave on. Barrier width to 20, barrier depth to 12, and barrier height to 20. If you add more item spawners or loadout bays, you may have to adjust these. How we have this set up right now is the shortest path the loot has to travel is upwards. This is because we have the depth set to 12 and the height and width set to 20. For example, say I want to push loot forward. I would make depth and width 20 and height 12. I would also have to rearrange my item spawner accordingly. This might be hard to grasp for some, but if you have to veer from my settings, it may take a lot of trial and error to make it work. Just an FYI, guys. The last setting you need to change on the barrier is enable when receiving from channel 7. Now go to the menu and under the device tab and grab some item spawners. Place them down on the platforms we set up below the loadout deck. Select customize and copy these settings. Items respawn, leave default, random respawn on, visible during game, doesn't really matter, just keep it default. Now this step is crucial. To make this system work, you have to have time before first spawn set to instant. The whole key to making the loadout generator work is you have to have the item spawners and barrier enabled at the same time. Just leave time before first spawn as default. Bonus ammo for weapons is your preference. Now this is also very important. You have to have run over pickup set to on. This next setting is also very important. Keep item visibility to ×1. Change enabled on game start to disabled and disable when receiving from channel 8. Spawn item when receiving from channel 7. That should complete your settings. Copy these exactly and enter them onto each of your item spawners. Now put whatever desired loot you want on your pads. Head over to your loadout bay and go to your inventory under the device tab and select player checkpoint plate. Place it down in your loadout bay, select customize and copy these settings. Keep target team default. Change visibility during game to off. Make sure you have a reset inventory on. This is what will get rid of your loadout before you get a new one. If you don't have this set to on, your items will just keep piling up. Enable on game start enabled, enabled when receiving from channel 2, disable when receiving from channel 7. Leave the rest to no channel. Now, go into your inventory, grab a trigger device, place it down, rotate it and resize it so it's flat on the ground and drop it in the middle of your spawn bay. Customize it and copy these settings. Triggered by player on, triggered by damage off, times can be triggered, infinite, delay set to none, reset delay set to 3 seconds, trigger sound enabled and triggers visual effects enabled, turn visibility in game to off, receive take damage while invisible keep default, enabled on game start enabled, leave enabled and disabled when receiving from to no channel, change when triggered transmit on channel 7. This trigger sends a signal to your barriers and item spawners at the same time to enable, sending the loot to your loadout. Now we need to set up your music sequencer and trigger device so that we can reset the item spawner and barrier. Place a music sequencer down and copy these settings. Keep everything default except change tempo to 155, length to normal, and start sequence when received from channel 7. Now go over to the trigger device that we placed in the loadout bay, copy it and place it down on the music sequencer's play area. Make sure you change these settings. Reset delay to none and change when triggering from from to channel 8. Place this down near the edge of the music sequencer start area. Make sure to take off grid snap and have drop set to off. It will make it a lot easier to place. Now, you are pretty much done. If you were to walk into your loadout bay, you should get your weapons and it should reset, but we have one more step left. We need to set another trigger to turn back on your checkpoint spawner that clears your inventory. Remember, we have it set up so that when you get your loadout, it disables the checkpoint spawner. We just need to re-enable it. Throw down a trigger device and resize and reshape it so that it's flat and covers the whole entrance. Basically, select resizing, change resize axis to width, and you can stretch it out. Just place it down on the ground in front of your loadout bay, select customize and change these settings. Trigger visual effects disabled, visibility in game off, and when triggered, transmit on channel 2. That completes the random loadout generator. I would like to note that it's a good idea to place another player checkpoint plate in front of your loadout randomizer. You can keep all the settings default on that one. The reasoning is so if you die, you won't spawn into the loadout generator bay. Another thing to note is that a player has to walk directly on the center of the trigger to get the loot. If they are on the side or jumping, they may miss it. To prevent that, you can grab some triangle assets from the inventory gallery tab and just rotate and resize it to force players to have to walk right into the center. Now, if you followed part 1 and part 2 of this tutorial, you will have used all 8 triggering device channels. We are limited to only 8 right now. Just want to let you know that in case you want to add other things. Hopefully, Epic gives us more channels in the future. That is part 2, guys, and that will wrap up the most advanced 1v1 arena tutorial. I hope this video helped you all out. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment and I will try and answer it. And if you guys use any of these mechanics in your videos, I would appreciate it if you would give me credit. I don't usually beg for likes, but these 2 tutorials kicked my I wish I was lying when I said I spent at least 50 working hours on making both of these tutorials. Just writing down my dialogue took over 12 hours. Check this out. I'm not asking for any sympathy. I love doing this stuff, guys. I really do hope these videos help you out and also get your creative juices flowing. All right, guys, it's that time. It's the sellout portion of the video. If you guys would like to support me, please consider using code Immature at checkout. I really appreciate it. If you don't use my code, just make sure you are using someone else's. It really helps out a lot. If you want to stay up to date on all my maps and learn how to do other cool things in creative, make sure you follow my Twitter at ImmatureGamerX. And if you guys want to see the behind the scenes of Immature Gamer, check out my Instagram page. I post behind the scenes of what goes on in my life and behind the scenes of my creative maps. So if that sounds like your jam, then please follow me at immature_gamer. Links in the description. That is gonna do it for today's video. Thank you for all the love and support. I really appreciate it. And as always, I challenge you to go to a smaller channel and like one of their videos and leave a nice comment. If you like their stuff, then subscribe. Make someone's day. I hope you all have a great week. And that is it for this video. I am Immature Gamer and I'm out. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any new videos, and thank you for watching.